Hello, welcome. I know the title of this video does not make any sense. Bear with me. I'm recording this at like midnight. It is what it is. So, today we're going to talk about organization. So, a lot of people ask me, well, how are you so organized? Or, I wish I could be as organized as you. And I'm just going to start off by saying I'm not organized by choice. I mean, I am, but it's because I feel like I need to be. I get overwhelmed very easily, and so like if someone just gives me a little bit too much to do, or like what my brain thinks is too much to do, I like cannot function and I get overwhelmed if I don't have a plan. So my mom basically taught me you got to write things down, you got to stay organized, and that's how you overcome the feeling of being overwhelmed and just being like stuck basically. Growing up, you can't really do that because you get more responsibilities. You got bills you gotta pay, children to take care of, people to feed, work you gotta go to. And you just can't deal with getting overwhelmed every 2 seconds. You gotta learn how to manage life. So that is why I'm organized. All right, so my first tip is to get a planner. You can get a planner with a calendar. You can get a planner with stickers. You can get a blank notebook. You can use your phone, just something to help you plan. So I use blank notebooks, and these are two of my notebooks. I usually have one for every year I'm in school, and I use blank notebooks because having all these dates and seeing the approaching week and seeing everything that's happening that week psychs me out, and I don't like that. So we use blank notebooks. We write down every single day. So we're going to start from, this one's from freshman year. So we're going to start from the first page. So it goes Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Like it has every single day. And it has what I need to do that day. And I basically just write it down with time frames. So I'm like, from here you can see from 7:30 to 8:20 I did my RA application, and then I cross it off, and I cross everything off, and I write down even the most meaningless things like eating, do 5 problems from math homework. I write that down and I cross it off because there's something about giving your brain like immediate gratification that it needs. And so by crossing something off every single time, it's that immediate gratification to your brain, that reward loop that keeps going. So get a planner, write down every single thing you have to do. I mean, do not leave anything out, because if you leave something out, you're gonna be sitting there at 1 a.m. being like, where did all my time go? I feel like I've only done 2 things. And really, you have only done 2 things on your list, but you've done so many other things that you didn't write down. Little things like send an email to this person. That takes time, and you didn't write it down, so there your time goes, and you don't know what your time went to. The next tip I have for you is do not procrastinate. And I know people say this a lot, but I mean it. Like every single minute counts. So if you're taking classes, right, and you have something you need to study for, and you're like, well, I'm not one of those people that like can study for 10 minutes here, 10 minutes there, 15 minutes there. Become one of those people. You kind of need to if you're going to be busy all the time, right? So even 10 minutes here, 10 minutes there, it all counts towards consolidating the information. So what I do is that for anything that requires remote memorization for me, even if it's like formulas, for some STEM people who need to memorize formulas, I put it in a Quizlet, and I have Quizlet on my phone. As I'm walking to class, I'm going through the flashcards on Quizlet. As I'm walking to my dorm, flashcards on Quizlet. It's consistently putting that information through your brain that consolidates that information and helps you memorize things. Basically, like when you're studying, do not study the day before things. Do not study 2 days before it, although that's what I'm doing right now, but that's because of lack of time, not because of lack of time management. Study at least 3 days before your test or before you're doing something, right? And that's because the more time you study, even though it may be like, oh my goodness, I'm gonna spend 2 hours studying this. You don't, if you start earlier, it's actually less time that you spend studying every single time. And doing work doesn't look like sitting in a library and being super concentrated for a certain amount of time. It can look like, for me, sometimes I'm watching YouTube videos as I'm just organizing my notes for finals, or I'm watching Netflix as I'm just like reading through something. Like, it's passive work, but that's because I'm starting so much earlier than when I need to be starting. I don't sit in the library to just study for 4 hours. If you know me, I don't have an attention span for that long. Impossible. What I do is I will, again, write down my notebook, study this for 1 hour, study this for 45 minutes. Then I will take a quick break. Nothing like that would cause me to completely get off sidetrack. Like, I don't watch YouTube videos during the quick break, because one YouTube video leads to another, and TikTok, and you just keep scrolling, and it's really bad. So for my break, sometimes what I like to do is I will do like a small activity that is also productive but does not require me to study, like send an email to someone or text someone back that I completely forgot to text. Going off of texting, please put your phone on do not disturb. Do not disturb. You cannot have your phone next to you if you're trying to be concentrated. It's just not possible. If you're one of those people that can do it, I don't know how you do it. I can't. So I put my phone on do not disturb, and I put it out of sight, out of mind. So that's very important. So my third tip for staying organized and being productive is use Google Calendars. And I know I said I don't like calendars, and I really don't. Trust me, I don't. But when you have someone who's a scatterbrain like I am, and I only write down one day at a time in order to like minimize my stress, when things are long term, I tend to forget about them. So, for example, when I get a syllabus at the beginning of the term, I will immediately put down all the dates of the exams, and be like, oh my goodness, that May 4th, I have 3 exams that day. That's going to be rough. Then, as I know that week's approaching, I cancel like all obligations for that week. So I'm also an RA, and we have to choose our duty days. So by putting in that information into my Google Calendars, even though it's little information, it helps me plan my weeks ahead of the week that I'm coming to. So like, for example, I would choose not to be on duty the week I have 3 exams, because that's just not feasible. There you go. So tip 4 for staying organized and being productive is put yourself in a place of productivity, right? So that means take care of yourself. Hygiene's important. Make sure you wash your face in the morning to give you that refreshing outlook on life, right? Especially in quarantine, this is important. And because we're not at school and we don't have access to all of these study rooms or an environment that's really conducive to learning, I found that even staying in my room can be productive at times. What I need to do is make my room a productive space. So whatever space you're in, you have to make it into the space that would be the most productive for you. So for example, when I'm in my room, I really like spreading out, but I'm not gonna spread out on my bed because I'm gonna fall asleep. So what I do is I sit on the floor and I spread out, And yeah, it's basically making the best of what you have. You may not have everything, but you make the best of that, and you do everything in order to be productive in that space. My organization stems from my awesome notebooks, and these notebooks, my organization stems from my notebooks, and these notebooks have taken me through busy times. Sometimes I have to write down 3 or 4 times a day, like what I'm doing, because it changes so often. But every single time something gets added, that goes into my notebook, because when it's 1 a.m., I'm not trying to figure out where did all my time go and be overwhelmed with things I haven't accomplished. At the end of the day, I want my notebook to look like this. Every single thing needs to be crossed off. And that will let me know I've completed what I completed for today, and it's been a productive day, you know? So, especially in this time of quarantine where all we want to do is sleep, we want to do nothing, and a lot of people really have a lot less to do. But when you're a student, it kind of doesn't translate that way, and it's a lot harder to get things done when you're not at school and you're not around that support system that you usually have. You're kind of left on your own. It's really important now more than ever to stay organized and to hone those organization abilities so that when you get back to school, you can be even more productive. So I encourage you to write things down during this quarantine that you need to do. Don't make it a packed list. People often overpack what they need to do in a day, and it leaves you feeling like you've accomplished nothing and it leaves you feeling overwhelmed. So don't do that. Always go for less than more, you know? Like always go for less. And if you complete less, there you go. Write down a couple new things to add and accomplish those also. So if you guys have any questions about my organization tips, how I do it, where I get my notebooks from, do I use colors, do I organize, how my Google Calendars works, please drop a comment below, DM me, text me, let me know. I want to help you guys succeed also. So yes, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel. There will be other videos. We are in quarantine and we are doing school, and so there will be other videos to help you guys along because I need help, you need help, so help me help you and help you help me. So yes. Okay, bye.